With the success of Brad as well as Darren Binder on the MotoGP circuit, motorcycle racing in South Africa seems to be taking off. Now there's another pair of brothers who are taking the South African motorcycle racing by storm. 15-year-old Cayden as well as 10-year-old Blake Bobbitt. Both of them are in studio this morning to chat to us about their budding motorcycle racing careers alongside their father, Greg Roberts. Guys, good morning and welcome to the show.
Morning. Thank you for having us.
All right. Cayden, I want to start with you. 15 years of age. You've been racing since 2014, so you've got a wealth of experience. I think 9 years in, right? How did you get into the space?
Well, it really started with my eldest brother. He started racing, and I was practically born at the track. I was always there helping. I was in the pits, always helping out. And 2014, my dad got me a little pocket bike. I started racing around. Then in 2018, I got into the Samurai NSF 100, and last year I won that championship, and now this year I'm racing a 150cc. Yeah, I'm leading that championship currently.
Leading the championship. Wow. 2014 you say, and you've won a couple of titles as well. Dad, I think you must be proud with the fact that, like he said, he grew up practically on the race course. Did you play an influence in both their careers?
Absolutely. I think I'm responsible for putting the petrol in their veins.
Yeah.
It started with my dad, actually. He started a club in the 80s. So I grew up around motorbikes, and we were always going to the racetrack. I had an uncle that raced cars, so my dad would help him out at the track, and I would always be tagging along. And I worked for BMW Motorsport in the past, as well as Audi. And yeah, just very involved in junior motorsport with my eldest son. He came to me. Yeah, okay. He's 22 now. He doesn't race anymore, but he was very active in the racing scene. And while I worked at BMW, we were surrounded by cars all the time. And he saw little pocket bikes racing one day at Kailami when we were actually working in the workshop. And he came back and he said, "Dad, I want to do that." And we went to the track, and the rest is history.
And Blake, you've been doing this for about 3 years now. I'm still relatively new, but I'm sure you look at Cayden and take a lot of influence from him and seeing what he's already has been able to do in the last few years.
Yeah, I've always following Cayden's footsteps. Always tells me what to do. It's the best advice that I take from him, and yeah.
So how are you finding it? Tell me about your accomplishments in the last 3 years.
I was close to winning the championship last year on the 50cc, and I just missed it by 1 point.
Ooh, what happened?
I just crashed in that race.
Oh, okay. All right. And then you made it out alive, I suppose, because you're here with us this morning. Yeah. And then, Blake, I'm looking at this attire. Right? And it looks heavy. It really looks heavy. And this is something that you wear when you compete in your races. Talk to me about what exactly this is and how this essentially protects you from hurting yourself.
Yeah, this is our leather suit. We wear this when we're racing. It's very, very protective. It's got a lot of pads and it's very protective.
All right. How expensive is that? Because, the sport is quite expensive. We were speaking offline and how you have to spend, as parents, millions of rand to get the kids to succeed. And essentially, if these kids are to succeed on the greater stage, they'd have to make, that trip to Spain, because that's where the MotoGP is currently thriving at the moment. Is that where the plan is? To take them to Spain, to Europe, and see how far they will go in MotoGP?
Absolutely. That is a plan. Spain at the moment is where the highest level of racing is. Darren and Brad both went through the same channels. We've got Lungo Jarekwe, which is now, he used to be a junior in our team. He's a senior. And he's currently racing a full season in the CEV Championship in Spain. He won a race there last week and actually became the first African to stand in first place on a European podium. So yeah, it's the money box. Unfortunately, is the main box to tick in the sport. If you don't have the money, you won't be able to move forward. And it's all about practicing and, you know, getting involved with the right teams. And the teams in the front are more expensive, naturally. But yeah, we try our best. And, you know, with King Price coming on board a couple of years ago and the boys being part of the King Price Extreme team, it definitely helps. But like we say in motorsport, it's never enough. We always need more.
Always need
a lot of
more.
Sacrifices get made by the family to make sure that the boys...
Craig. What sacrifices as a family have you guys had to make to ensure that Blake as well as Cayden are able to live the dream, because the potential is there?
Yeah, look, the sacrifice is mostly financial. And like, you know, we don't go on holidays, we don't go out to eat in fancy places. We put everything into the racing. You know, a practice day like we did yesterday could cost anything from 3,000 to 5,000 rand for the day, depending on which circuit you go to. And we try and practice a lot. So, like I say, no holidays, no fancy clothes for mom, no sitting in the hairdresser.
No Christmas clothing.
But we love what we do, and I don't think we'll change it for anything, you know. We do need the funding to take the boys to the next level, so that's very important. But we'll just carry on doing what we're doing and see where it goes, you know.
Blake, Dad talks about how it's important to take you guys to the next level. What is the next level for you? What do you want to accomplish in this career?
Just for this year, try to win some races on the NSF. Not too much. It's only my first year racing the NSF.
What is the NSF? Explain that to me.
It's a Honda small NSF 100. It's like this big, and it's a bit of a step up from the bike that I'm racing now.
Okay, so what bike are you racing now?
I'm
what
racing
is it called?
the 50cc on the short
50cc. Okay, and then Cayden, what bike are you racing, and what do you want to accomplish as well in your young career?
I'm racing a 150cc in a 150 Cup and also a 400 on long circuits, and hopefully to make it overseas and do well there.
Yeah. All right, and that trip to Spain, Dad, that's likely to happen sometime in October this year for Cayden. Explain that to me.
Yes, so Cayden's been invited to do a wildcard race in Spain in October in the CEV Championship, where Lungo is currently racing the R6. And we have accepted it, and it's something we need to work towards, definitely. It's a very expensive exercise, so we would definitely need to reach out and raise some more funds for that trip.
And Dad talks about the Brad Binder brothers, Darren as well as Brad. Have you guys met them before? Have you guys had conversations with them, and do you look up to them?
Yes, we're lucky enough to meet them and know them personally at a training camp before. Yeah, and we really look up to them. They're doing amazing things.
What did they say to you, Blake? What did they say to you?
I had a dream about them last night.
Oh, tell me about that dream. We have to make that dream a reality. Tell me about that dream.
So I was dreaming that my brother and I were at the short circuit just practicing on a casual day, and then Brad came there and says, "Let me show you how it's done."
Yeah.
And he rode his GP bike.
I mean, that's amazing, right? Dad, just listening to that and having that dream that Blake is talking about, dreaming about the Binder brothers and how much influence these brothers have had on your sons. How important is them to believe in themselves and to look up to the Binder brothers, who are doing incredibly well as well on the circuit, on the MotoGP circuit? Yeah,
it's very important. I think that the Binder brothers not only inspire them, but a lot of other young riders in the country, and myself as well. You know, the dad put in a lot of work. Uncle Trevor put in a lot of work behind the scenes, and there was a lot of sacrifices made. Brad's mom had to go and live in Spain while the dad was here trying to make money, you know, so that he could be closer to his dream. And it's very important for the boys to have those role models. You know, the Binders are doing incredible things at the moment, and we sometimes feel that it's not fair to be compared to them because of the level that they're at the moment. But yes, very inspiring, and just, you know, when they do come to South Africa, and sometimes they get involved in the little training camps that we have, they're so down to earth, and they're such genuine young men that, you know, myself, I look at them and I'm also inspired. It's not just the kids and the riders that are inspired by them.
Absolutely, because it's important for them to actually essentially give back to the community back home in South Africa.
Yeah.
So a final one, as we wrap up this interview, Dad, your dreams for your sons.
For me, I'd love to see them on the world stage. You know, it's the ultimate goal for any motorcycle racer. MotoGP is the ultimate goal for them to achieve. But I'll be happy with wherever they race. You know, for us, it's about spending time together. I get to spend so much time with my boys. And it's just, it's amazing to have that bond and that relationship with them. So with us, we always say we'll keep racing as long as we can. And wherever it takes us, we'll be happy, you know.
And you guys are obviously in school at the moment, school holidays, and I can imagine you'll be using this period to do a lot of practicing, a lot of racing. How do you juggle schoolwork? Cayden, you are in high school, 15 years of age, grade 9, right? How do you balance work, schoolwork, as well as racing?
Well, just a lot of planning and looking at schedules and seeing like what days I'm open.
Yeah.
When I write tests, what time I need to be studying, and yeah, planning as well, yeah.
And you, Blake, still very young, 9 years of age. Grade 3, right?
No, 4.
If not grade 4. Grade 4. How do you balance the two? Because I know you love playing PlayStation. Young boys love that, don't they? How do you balance the schoolwork as well as making sure that you are still thriving on the race course?
Yeah, it's just like Cayden. I use my schedules. I ask my mom when am I off, and also we sometimes skip Fridays because we have to be at the racetrack.
And I guess, Dad, you are instilling that responsibility in them to do their schoolwork and still, you know, do the hobby on the side of racing. And you have possibly made that clear to them that I want you guys to thrive, but I still want the education to be a top priority.
100%. I'm very fortunate. Both of them are top achievers in school. And that's the rule. It's always been the rule. You know, you make sure you get good results at school, and we can go racing.
All right. Guys, thank you so much for joining us in studio this morning. All the best of luck with Spain. I'm hoping that you are able to get those funds to make that trip to Spain, because the dream is now bigger. We need to get to MotoGP. Cayden and Blake, you're just starting out. No pressure, but your brother should be a good precedent for you, right? Thank you.
Thank
you so much as well for your time this morning on the Weekend Report. The Robert brothers on a mission to do incredible stuff in the world of moto racing.